I also have another friend. Her dad doesn't really like black people, so I went over her house one time, never again. Ha!
People from?
Well, my great-grandma was from Seoul.
Korean. I knew it. I was like, she's either Japanese or Korean, but I was leaning more towards Korean.
Amazing.
Hamshasina.
I mean, you don't really look Latino. You could be Indian or like maybe Native American. You've got that exotic look.
So you know how people describe America as like a salad bowl? Well, that's kind of like how our schools were, except that salad bowl only had lettuce and then like one tomato, and that tomato was me.
Can you believe that it's February already? And can you believe that your entirely white class just turned to stare at you because your teacher brought up Harriet Tubman?
When the history teacher starts talking about slavery and everyone and their mama in the classroom stares at you, the hell y'all looking at?
It doesn't market itself towards more low-income areas.
When you look at their stats, it's very discouraging when you see the different, like the small representation of different kinds of minorities, and especially like when like you come to like visit campus. I mean, just for me, like you see how very white and normalized like this school is, and like unless like you came here for like a specific program, like it doesn't look very inclusive.
I think they would be able to have a lot more of a diverse population if, instead of just, catering to like these super prestigious like private schools and stuff like that, they actually like, gave these people living in urban areas an actual like want to pursue higher education.
But I think part of the steps or things that should be done is to slowly but surely show the outside community and the people who go here that minorities are accepted, welcome, and celebrated here. If they feel safe and comfortable and welcome, it will progressively get better. It's just somehow making that a priority and allowing that to happen.
In the way that TCNJ's mission statement lies, they want to they want to have diversity, they want to show diversity, they want to get diversity, but in my opinion, a school can really only foster diversity. You can't really just make it out of nothing. And I think ways that TCNJ could better foster diversity would be to better connect with their communities, especially Trenton, where we're no longer as connected with Trenton.
I feel like TCNJ is like very secluded in how it does programming, and we cater to specific audiences, but like if we all came together, we would bring so many audiences together. So I think that's really important.
Having different type of messaging and changing where and like which schools they want to do career, like college fairs at, and also it comes to the student level too, where how can they foster more diversity? It's like you want to be able to teach the students to be a little like more sensible. They may have come from backgrounds that they may not have ever interacted with people outside of their own race. That's predominantly for white folks, may have been in towns where they weren't exposed to other types of cultures and ways of life and diversity in general. So kind of have some sensibility, and for us to continue to have events and programming that fosters a more diverse climate.
Just making students aware of like the situations that like minority students face, or any kind of like maybe like disabled students, like the LGBTQ community. Like there are so many different aspects of life on this campus that are kind of like in their own kind of pockets, and just like bridging the gaps and bringing them all together would be a wonderful way for TCNJ to just like explore diversity.
my identity, I think definitely had an impact because I even like before applying to schools, like people would always tell me like, oh, like you have an easy way in because like you're Asian, like you're gonna like you can get into any school, you know. And so like I definitely think my identity did have an impact. But I also give credit to my grades because I'm like I didn't just get in because of my identity. But yeah.
What I did notice was that in their advertising and the way that they promoted the school, I identified strongly with the way they presented themselves. So it was a lot of people who looked like me, seemed like me, participated in activities that I participated in. And so it seemed like a place where I would belong.
I think I expected TCNJ to be a lot more diverse than it actually ended up being because I came from an area of the state that's very like whitewashed and very low in diversity, and I grew up in an area that wasn't very diverse, and I was expecting a nice diverse environment to immerse myself in, but I don't think the expectation was necessarily met.
So I expected TCNJ to be predominantly white just because I live in a town that's like literally like right next to TCNJ in Hamilton. So I've already been on campus, you know, throughout high school, and I was able to walk around, you know, through the different programs that I went to that were hosted on TCNJ. So I already knew that it was predominantly white. So my expectations were met when I came here, and it didn't really affect me as much because I had already grown up in a predominantly white environment. So I was like already used to assimilating in that type of environment.
So when I was coming to TCNJ, I expected it to be like my high school, which had obviously more white people. It was a pretty predominantly white town, but there were different backgrounds and like people from different there were a lot of different financial backgrounds and racial backgrounds, but still overwhelmingly white. So I kind of expected the same thing at TCNJ because I don't live that far from it. I think in some ways it's exceeded my expectations in that I'm happy to see that there's organizations that recognize different diverse backgrounds, but there's also not as many as I would have expected at the same time because it's a college, and once I saw the organization, how many organizations were on the college campus, I would have expected more.
Definitely more so here just because in my hometown there is a very small representation of minorities, and I come from a very like whitewashed place, and they're very conservative, and I was maybe one of 4 or 5 black people out of the whole school. So it was a big change coming here because I felt more included, even though with a very small minority representation here.
Honestly, I feel more accepted here. I think that's due to the fact that I can honestly pick my own friend groups, and I can choose what to be involved in and what I don't, like who I don't want to see or talk to really, for the most part. Whereas high school, like you're placed in classes, you know, you don't really get a choice with anything. Meanwhile, like yeah, when you go to a school, you do, for the most part, have a very like wide variety of things that you can choose to do.
They don't feel that they have other people that are having the same experience as them. They may feel like they're alienated from certain norms that they may not have witnessed growing up, or they may not have been around growing up.
It's hard to feel as at home as you otherwise would if you're not seeing other people or getting to know other people who you identify closely with. I think it's harder to open up the conversation when you have less people who have come from different backgrounds.
If you walk into ICOF, you see all these different tables, but there's specific ones with specific minority groups, and they're very much differentiated from the rest of the area, and I think you can see that across campus in a bunch of different venues, including like clubs and Greek life and things of that nature.
I feel like it makes them feel like more isolated, which is like a good and bad thing. So like in one way, it'll force them into an environment that they're uncomfortable with, which can be a bad thing, but at the same time it can be a good thing because it forces them to make new friends and see new perspectives that they hadn't seen before. But in another way, it could lead them to feel lonely or disconnected from their culture, whatever that might be.